Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon to all. Firstly, I would like to make clear that I am not a specialist on the field of recycling. However, my specialty is building materials, and I'm from School of Engineering, Department of Civil Engineering and Architecture, and I'll try to combine these two areas, recycling and building materials, and let's take a peek into that world. I will start a little bit differently, I decided. Cycling, for example, has become more and more popular in the world. Among here in Estonia, for several reasons. For example, health, money, fun, etc. From the word cycling, we can reach to recycling, another term that is under much discussion lately. Today, it is quite common to recycle package, bottles, for example. You do it every day, and it is regulated by the government because you can give these bottles back and you can have this package fee back. So it's regulated. But today, we are here to talk about buildings. Buildings that are near to its service life. Buildings which are decided to demolish, for example. And the question is, what is the concept of recycling building materials? The focus of this conference is on Soviet-era building apartments. And let's take one, for example. This is a very regular building, 5 stories, 4 entrances, very common here in Estonia. And on the stage of demolition phase, a lot of construction waste and demolition waste will appear. And what do you think? What is the most common ingredient during this kind of demolition? A question to the audience. What do you think? What is the most common component? Concrete, exactly, concrete. We have a lot of concrete, we have metal, we have timber, glass, drywall, asphalt, and these 6 ingredients form approximately 70 to 95% of the whole waste. For example, let's take concrete. One of the most, actually the most used building material in the world. Approximately 4 billion cubic meters per year, approximately. And all these components come from earth. For example, water, well, cement, actually you have to make cement before you can use it. You have to mine limestone, clay, gypsum, and coarse aggregate, for example, gravel, fine aggregate, for example, sand, and it forms mostly 70 till 80% of the concrete. And this is the point where we have to think about recycling, because aggregates are one of the components that we can recycle. We can use it again, actually. And every time we produce concrete, every time we take a bite from earth, actually. For example, 1 cubic meter of concrete, if you produce 1 cubic meter of concrete, you will have to mine approximately 2 tons of aggregate. Remember that. And there is a chance for recycling aggregates, for example. The seriousness of this problem is presented here in the next graph. You can see during years, billions of tons global resource consumption. And for example, construction minerals have a significant exponential increase compared to others. So there is a very important thing to think about is construction minerals. We cannot waste these materials because there will be time where there isn't anything to mine, and it's quite a problem to build new buildings, actually. If you look around in your country, for example in Tallinn, I think I have never seen so many cranes around. So there is a rapid construction boom, actually, at the moment. If you admit it or not, it's everywhere. Of course, most notable in rich countries, such in China, for example. And I have an example here, a rapid construction boom from Dubai. You can see in 2000 there is a sand field. A decade later, a skyscraper madness. And if there is a construction, there is always a demolition as well. Anyway, Estonia versus the world. What is the thing we do with recycled materials? Today, usually, we use it for backfilling. We use it roads, also in construction roads, for fillings. We make coarse aggregate or fine aggregate. We melt glass, metal, and crush timber, and we use it a little bit here in Estonia as well. As a member of European Union, we have to take a look on a waste guidelines, actually. And the correct name is here. The Waste Management Directive says that by 2020, the minimum of 70% construction waste by weight must be recycled or reused. So this is a very ambitious target, actually. I found a research by Spanish scientists, and they give an overview of recycling rate of construction and demolition waste. And here you can see the greenish colors are good rates, and the reddish colors are here quite bad. And you can see that Estonia, surprisingly, performs very well. But when I looked into details, I realized that what is excellent on paper isn't always excellent in real life. The next slide shows that when we take a look at details, we can see that Estonia reports a great number of soil, dredging soil, and this is not a component in this EU Waste Management Directive. So actually, let's take back. The real number, we are somewhere here, 40–45%. Actually, this is a really serious problem. When we compare, for example, us to Norway, we can see that they actually give a proper ingredients, concrete, wood, brick, style, and so on. And their rate is here very good. Anyway, other reports say that current recycling systems function sufficiently. That is quite true. And this is a real problem, actually. I made some calculations. For example, let's take this Soviet-era building, a very regular building, for 5 stories, 4 entrances. And I made some simple calculations, and I got some results. Concrete. Yes?
Excuse me, can you translate dredging soil into Estonian?
See on põhimõtteliselt ülesvõetav pinnas, muld. Kui kõige nagu lihtsamalt öelda. Anyway, I will continue. For example, if we demolish this kind of building, we will get concrete, approximately 2,300 cubic meters. Metal, glass, equally 30–40 cubic meters. Timber, approximately 300 cubic meters. Well, in Soviet era, a lot of this kind of fiber was used for thermal insulation, so it is included here in timber. Other approximately 100 cubic meters, total nearly 3,000 cubic meters. So I took a look at another research, and I found this empirical model to calculate the construction and demolition waste. And what I received was that my calculations were quite similar. When there are dwellings, flats, approximately 80 in this building, I got nearly 3,000 cubic meters waste. So if there is going to be a decision that we want to demolish a lot of these kind of buildings, we must have a plan for that, what we are going to do with this kind of waste and how we are going to use it. Because according to this that I have given to you, it is quite reasonable to think that recycling building materials should be a reasonable step. Yes, it is, but there are some kind of problems. Let's name it red tape issues. Another word, bureaucracy. All construction building materials should be regulated or must be regulated by Construction Product Regulation, formally named Construction Products Directive. So we have to follow European standards if we want to use building materials, recycled building materials. We have to give out certificates, CE markings, declaration of performance, and so on. But if we use construction and demolition waste, the material is very variable. The technical characteristics are very variable. What about stability? The question is, if I use a material that is recycled, will it provide the same service life if I will use a new material? That is the question. What is the question? What is the future in the field of recycling building materials? When we talk about recycling building materials, I think there is a very important part in the in government, because I think every government should very actively participate in this area, because they have to really cooperate with scientific groups in that field to understand and to develop a national regulation for recycled building materials and how to reuse these kind of materials in buildings. Why, you ask? More and more I can see these kind of headlines. It's not going to be oil, food or water, it's going to be about sand. It's going to be about sand war, because we use approximately 40 billion tons of sand each year. It's everywhere. In concrete, glass, masonry blocks, mortars, in your computer chips as well, actually. Not every sand works, so there is only very specific characteristics that we need in construction. So cities are growing exponentially. You can see that. And there are countries where people are actually dying. There are black markets, people are mining sand, and it's banned by government. So it's a real problem. And actually, it's the global crisis you've probably never heard of. And it's the future. So recycling must be the answer. Thank you. Magnus, sina vist modereerid, jah?
Thank you, Eneli. First of all, do we have any public questions from the audience? Yeah.
Hello. I have a question about the Soviet roof covering material that is actually banned right now and it's illegal.
You mean asbestos?
Yes. What should we do about it? It's still, we can find it everywhere, and some people are even burying it under the ground, not to like give money to the recycling companies, because it's not free to give it away.
Yes, it's definitely a problem.
What should we do with the roof covering materials then?
Yes, it's definitely a problem. Thank you for the question. I mentioned that recycling is actually not my specialty, but I can give my opinion about it. Definitely burying it under on soil or wherever, it's not the right thing to do. It should be, how to say it in English actually. It should be, there are ways how to remove it. It should be, do it legally, not illegally like you mentioned it, but I don't know exactly the ways how they get rid of the material. Maybe there are Luke and Satu who are more experienced in that area, who can answer how they get rid of the asbestos material.
I wanted to ask not about how to get rid of it, but people, like people, us, when we have a house that has asbestos roof, then what should we do about it when some people don't want to legally get rid of it?
Well, I don't want to say call the police, but actually it is the answer, because you cannot.
But when it's my grandfather or my father, what should I do? I call the police.
Well, it's a very difficult situation. What can I say? Well, you have to explain that it's actually it's illegal. It's asbestos actually is dangerous when you smash it, because there are small fibers that come out, and when you breathe in, they will go into your lungs, and this is the problem. When it's just on the table, it doesn't affect you actually. When it's smashed, then it's a problem. Well, it wouldn't be actually a problem to bury it, but it's not the right thing to do. It's dangerous when you smash it.
Yeah, my father actually told me in construction that smash the roof tiles and bury it under the ground. So
well, smashing, yeah, smash. Not. I don't know. You have to go see your doctor, but I think it's not so. It's not so rapid. You have to do it regularly to get really affected, I think. I don't have this kind of reports, but I know it's dangerous. I know it's a problem. I know people just start smashing it. No respirators, nothing, just breathe in and do it every day. There are people, even companies, who are legally okay to do it. They will do it without protection, so it's a problem. So, no, I think you are safe, but don't do it anymore.
I have two questions.
Yes.
The first one is that you talked about the waste, and it should be also assessed by the weight. Is it correct? So
sorry, I couldn't.
We have to calculate weight. Not
weight. Yeah.
Yes. So in that sense, it makes reasonable to build all the buildings only from steel and the glass, isn't it?
No, that's not my point. You
but,
don't.
But,
no.
But to be right, correct with the numbers, we cannot make it 100%.
According
recyclable.
According to the numbers, you're right. But when we talk about energy sufficient thing and so on, so I think it would be a catastrophe.
Okay.
Or maybe Elon Musk will provide a lot of energy and it will be free, and then let's build with glass and metal.
So the main point for students who are going to be civil engineers to build buildings from concrete, not only from glass and the steel.
Well, concrete, yes, concrete would be my choice, definitely. But I like timber as well.
Yeah, that's good. And the second question is, as we are at the level of 40-45% at the moment,
yeah.
Is it possible to achieve 75 by the 2020?
I don't know what are the government steps at the moment. I haven't got the information. What is the situation? What people are planning to do? But when I gathered some information, I looked a lot of materials, and I realized that things aren't so pretty as they are. My opinion is that no, in Estonia, definitely no, but we have to start thinking about it. And today's conference is about this kind of buildings and demolishing these kind of buildings. As you saw, there will be a lot of construction waste, We have to have a plan for that. We can't just decide, oh, let's cut down. So then we have piles and piles of trash. Well, not trash, demolition and construction waste. So that is a problem. We have to have a problem. We have to have a plan for that. So I think recycling some of the material for making some of the concrete to coarse aggregate, for example, this is definitely a plan. But a lot of testing, a lot of cooperation with universities must be started. I can assure you that I've been working here like 10 years, maybe even more, and during that time, I think only one project related to recycled materials, actually.
Do we have any more public questions? No, then perhaps some. Oh, you can ask.
Another ask us question.
I don't know what is ehitusjärelevalve in English, but
Yeah.
do we have good construction supervisors traveling around construction sites? Or
I know
or you think
personally some very good,
still a big problem?
but I know personally some who shouldn't work as a supervisor. So, like always, there are good, there are bad, but yes, there are very good. But the average is, I think, like always. But I think people are getting more informed and people are getting more, the know-how is growing. So I have faith in this.
Thank you. We have one anonymous question as well. Are there any new technologies that are used in other countries but aren't used yet in Estonia? I bet that this is meant for recycling materials.
Definitely, definitely. I cannot mention, but I think there are several technologies that are used, because I think Estonia in that area is a little bit steps back than other countries like Norway, for example, Belgium, for example, definitely. Finland, for example. No.
I will use the opportunity and ask one question myself as well. Do you have any idea about the price comparison? Which way is it more expensive to mine the coarse aggregates, for example, or to recycle them?
Good question. No idea.
What do you think, like, if you give it a guess?
Well, if the technology is here, for example, for recycling, I think if all the money is spent for that, in some years, I think it will be cheaper to recycle.
Maybe I can comment on that.
Yeah.
From materials engineering part, recycling is definitely more costly.
Definitely, but when the technology is here, for example, we have bought it, so maybe in 5 years, 10 years, it could be.
I also wanted to ask a third question
okay.
about composite materials, because we definitely will have some different parts of materials combined together in concrete also. So it's not only the concrete. So how do you think this part will increase or decrease this percentage of recycled materials?
Well, other composite material, you mean like polymers and?
Yes, polymers or some, I don't know, what we can mix into concrete.
Well,
anything.
In the perspective, in 5 years in Estonia, I don't believe it's a subject, but it definitely will be, because we need more sustainable materials and so on. So we have to grow. We have to
Develop.
Yeah, we have to develop, exactly.
Okay, let's make it the last question.
Well, I think if we keep thinking about money, then we will destroy the planet of Earth. But if we stop thinking about money, then everything is possible.
That's a comment. Yes, I agree.
But thank you, Eneli. On behalf of the BuildIT team, we would like to thank you with a small gift, a hammer.
A hammer, thank you.